Okay, let's jump right into this. Recently, Washington made a sudden move to restrict access to some of the most advanced AI models for non-US citizens. And honestly, it sent massive shockwaves through the global tech industry literally overnight. This wasn't just hitting rivals, it affected researchers in allied countries too. Suddenly, what used to be a somewhat hypothetical boardroom debate about supply chains turned into a very real, very urgent scramble. So, in today's explainer, we're going to break down the massive physical infrastructure you actually need to control your own AI. And then we have to pivot to a much heavier topic, the terrifying ethical reality that opens up when this exact same technology is handed over to the military.
I mean, just imagine waking up one day and realizing that the core systems managing your banks, your energy grid, or your defense networks have just been throttled or completely shut down by a foreign government's policy change. That's the reality we're looking at. This unprecedented export ban took these abstract, what if supply chain worries and transformed them into a life or death national security crisis. For governments and companies around the world, it forced a deeply uncomfortable realization. They realize the control of the technology they fundamentally rely on every single day is completely out of their hands.
So, what do nations and critical industries do when faced with that? Well, they look for something called sovereign AI. The goal here is complete certainty and control. Right now, London based startups like Cosign are literally fielding frantic, nonstop calls from defense firms, banks, foreign governments, the whole shebang. And what they all desperately want is an air gapped model. If you haven't heard that term, it basically means deploying an AI system on physically isolated hardware that you completely own. No data leaks out to a cloud server in California, and absolutely no remote kill switch command can ever get in. It's an ironclad guarantee that a sudden geopolitical shift won't just leave your critical infrastructure sitting in the dark. But here's the thing, building this isn't just about writing clever code. It requires massive, heavy, physical infrastructure. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang laid out a brilliant metaphor at Davos, describing AI sovereignty as a five-layer cake. And to truly own your AI, you need all five layers. It starts at the very bottom with staggering amounts of energy and water for cooling. Then, layer 2, you need the physical microchips and compute power. Layer 3 is the vast data centers to actually house all of that hardware. Only then do you even get to layer 4, the AI models themselves. And finally, layer 5, the applications that people actually use. This is absolutely crucial to understand. AI isn't just invisible magic floating in the cloud. It's a deeply physically demanding system. You cannot have sovereign AI if you don't control the power grid and the data centers running it. So, looking at the UK, for example, how are they baking their own five-layer cake? Well, their foundation is actually pretty strong. They're aggressively growing their green energy generation, which, as we just established, is crucial for that base layer. They're also rapidly building new data centers. Plus, through the UK's Sovereign AI Fund, developers are getting access to the massive ISMAZA supercomputers to actually train their models. But here's a super interesting, often overlooked factor: geography. The private sector is buying up thousands of GPUs, and they are largely setting them up in Scotland. Why Scotland? Because it has the abundant land, the critical power connectivity, and, crucially, the naturally cooler climate needed to run these massive heat-generating computing hubs efficiently. It's this perfect marriage of natural geography and cutting-edge tech. Now, we should clarify what this sovereignty actually looks like in practice. Yang Li, the co-founder of Cosign, hit the nail on the head. He said we shouldn't think of sovereignty as a wall, but rather as a hedge. Think about it. The UK's strategy, or really any realistic nation's strategy, isn't about building some impossible isolationist wall to block out the rest of the world. You just can't outcompete massive players like the US and China on every single metric. Instead, you build a hedge. A hedge is permeable. It lets you maintain global partnerships and share data where it's safe to do so. But it still provides thick, resilient detection around the core things that matter most, like defense, critical infrastructure, and the essential systems that keep daily life running. All right, now we need to take a pretty sharp turn because we have to talk about the military paradigm shift. You see, the exact same general-purpose AI technology that can neatly schedule trains or optimize those data centers in Scotland is simultaneously triggering a massive, fundamental evolution in warfare. The walls are completely coming down between civilian tech innovation and modern combat. And honestly, this is where the conversation gets incredibly heavy. Let's trace how we actually got here. While the US Department of Defense has been funding early AI research since way back in the 1960s, the modern era really kicked into high gear around 2017 with something called Project Maven. Bloomberg reporter Katrina Manson has done some phenomenal investigative work on this. Originally, during the global war on terror, The US was collecting so much drone imagery that humans could only physically analyze about 4% of it. So Project Maven was brought in as a simple computer vision tool to sort through those videos. But as you might guess, it didn't stay a simple sorting tool for long. It rapidly evolved. The goals shifted toward algorithmic targeting, essentially using AI to find a target, link it to a weapon, and dramatically shrink the lethal kill chain. And looking just a little bit ahead, militaries are now actively developing voice-controlled, fully autonomous drone swarms. Which brings us to one of the most chilling quotes uncovered in Manson's reporting. Senior officials stating, quote, "America should never again make a weapon that doesn't have AI baked into it." Let that sink in for a second. This isn't just a fancy tech upgrade, it's an extreme foundational shift in military doctrine. They want to place artificial intelligence at the absolute heart of how war is waged. But we all know what happens when you try to get an AI chatbot to just write a simple email without hallucinating, right? The technology fails. It just does. And when it fails in a military context, the consequences are literally catastrophic. Which leads me to this crazy anecdote that sounds straight out of a science fiction movie, but is absolute reality. Project Whiplash. The US military has been developing these autonomous, weaponized jet skis. Now, reportedly, one of these units actually lost control, went rogue, and was later found smuggled onto the coast of Turkey, eventually making its way all the way into Ukraine. Obviously, this sparked massive consternation inside the Pentagon, because when an autonomous weapon loses its connection or its algorithm glitches out, it doesn't just safely power down. It becomes a highly lethal, completely unpredictable variable in a war zone. So we have a profound, direct conflict at play here. On one side, advocates for AI warfare are promising incredible machine efficiency. We're talking unprecedented speed, massive scale, and precision algorithmic targeting that could, theoretically, keep allied troops out of harm's way. But on the other side, the fundamental laws of war absolutely demand human oversight. War requires proportionality, making sure the force used isn't excessive. It requires intent, understanding the difference between an active combatant and a civilian who might just be wounded or trying to surrender. These are complex, incredibly nuanced moral judgments. And a machine, no matter how fast its processors are or how vast its data center is, simply cannot compute morality.
And this introduces a really terrifying psychological paradox. The original promise of military AI was that it would process data so fast it would give human commanders extra time to pause, think, and make better, more ethical decisions. But experts are now warning about the danger of the alpha types. The fear here is that highly aggressive military commanders won't actually use that extra time to reflect. Instead, because the machine is just so incredibly efficient, they'll use it to make a much higher volume of lethal decisions at a reckless, uncontrollable speed. So the efficiency itself actually becomes a catalyst for escalation.
All of this brings us to a huge, fundamental question that is currently being debated right now at the United Nations. If we reach a point where a fully autonomous weapon system, with absolutely zero human in the loop, identifies, selects, and kills a human target, and it gets it wrong, committing a war crime, who bears the responsibility? Is it the tech company in Silicon Valley or London that coded the model? Is it the hardware manufacturer? Or is it the military commander who ordered that machine into the field knowing the risks? As nations scramble to secure their own sovereign AI infrastructure to protect their citizens, they're simultaneously racing headfirst into a geopolitical arms race that could forever change the morality of human conflict. So maybe just think about that the next time you ask an AI to write a summary for you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.